Today we are going to create a Twitter bot that will post images of models onto a Twitter account for us. So this is what we're going to end up with when we're finished here. On the left here we see a script that is going to scrape a web page for images and it will save them in a folder for us. On the right here we have our Python bot script, which is going to go ahead and post those images to our Twitter account at a set time interval. Okay, so I'll run it for you guys so we can see how it works here, and then we're going to go and review each line of the code line by line. So here is what we are going to end up with. This is the account I've got set up here called the model bot, and we are going to send out our first tweet in just a minute here. So let's go ahead and get this script running. So here we have, I'll show you guys right now, I have it set at a time interval of 3 seconds. So every 3 seconds is going to tweet. Obviously if we were running this on a separate server, we would change that time interval because tweeting every 3 seconds might be considered a little excessive. But let's go ahead and run this here. So first off, I want to show you guys, we'll run the script that'll scrape the images first, okay? So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you guys the desktop here, and just to show you so you can see the folder that we've got. So right here we've got our empty folder, or not empty folder, but we have our two scripts in our folder. So let's go ahead here and now run our script that is going to get the pictures for us. Okay, so here we go. And so right now it is going to this web page that I specified here, and it's pulling all the photos from that web page and creating a folder that will pop up in this directory here. So there you see our folder just got popped up, and now when we open it, we have all these pictures here from the website that we scraped off the website. Alright, so now that we've got those pictures, let's go ahead and run our other script that is going to be the Twitter bot for us. Okay, so we've got that, and now as we saw before, don't currently have any tweets for this Twitter bot, but now we're going to go ahead and run this guy right here. Alright, and this is going to go ahead and send out tweets for us at a 3-second interval. So let's go ahead and refresh our page here, and there we go. Already got 2 tweets coming out, and refresh again, another tweet, and there we go. So again, you can adjust that time interval as you want, depending on how many tweets you want to send out and or what you're tweeting about. Okay, so let's go back and close out that script before we get some serious Twitter overload here. And just one sec. Okay, so there we go. That will finish that off. So now we're going to review our scripts here, and so if you guys want to make this, we're going to walk through step by step how you would go about doing that, and so we can understand each line of the code here. So we'll start with how we scrape the images from the web page. So depending on what kind of Twitter bot you want to make, you can use different things. So in this case I wanted it to send out images, but you can also there are also Twitter bots that'll send out any kind of thing. So some do like poetry, some do memes, some do a bunch of different things. So whatever you guys want your Twitter bot to do or be, you want to go ahead and get that data that is going to be used to send out those tweets. So as far as this script goes, we'll review this one quickly and then get over to the bot itself. But we have a URL here that we are moving to, and this is the URL that has the pictures on it. So you see we can go to this quickly here and we'll take a look at that. Alright. So here's the website, and it is grabbing pictures from this website here. There it is, based on our URL. So it's grabbing these pictures, it's scraping these pictures off the website and creating a folder for us and saving them to that. So we go ahead, we do that. We're using the module, we're using the requests module, the beautiful soup module, and the OS module. So in this case, requests is a module that allows you to make requests to web pages. Beautiful soup is a module for kind of downloading the HTML that makes up those web pages, so we can easily parse through that and find what we want. And then OS is used to create the folder in the directory that our scripts are in. So we've got that URL, it goes to that URL. In our next line here we have the page, so this is where we're actually requesting the URL, so we're requesting a response from the server on that page, and then we are creating our soup, which is the HTML that makes up that website that we requested. So once we get that, we are using the BS4 method find all, which is going to find all the images that are on that web page for us, and then it is going ahead and we're going to create the directory that we want to store those images in. Okay, so what this is doing is it's saying if the models folder does not exist in the folder that we are currently in, then we want to make that folder, and then otherwise, we want to just change our current directory to that folder that we're in, because when your Python script saves files or saves pictures in this case to the folder, it's going to save them, unless you specify otherwise, to the current working directory or the current folder that you're in. So we go ahead and we change our current directory to the models folder that we created. So next up here we have a variable that is going to be used to as we add our pictures. We want to specify them being slightly different, obviously, because we don't want to overwrite the same file as we save our pictures. So we have our x equals 0, and we're going to increment that for each picture in order to save each picture as 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, so now we have a loop here, and what we're doing with this loop is we are saying for each image that is in our image tags soup that we have here. So this is returning us a nice list of image tags, and but we don't have, that's just the raw HTML. We want to extract the source URL from each of those image elements. Okay, so we're going to go ahead here, and so for each image in that list, or for each image HTML element that is in that list, then we want to go ahead here and we want to get the source. So we are saying we're declaring a variable called URL, and we are setting that to be the source of the image. So in this case, we can reference the source attribute, or SRC attribute, of the image tags with our BS4 module by specifying the image and then specifying within square brackets what the attribute that we want to get is. So then once we have that URL, we want to go ahead and we want to navigate directly to that URL. Then we want to go ahead and, so if the source status code equals 200, so if we get a response there, we want to go ahead and we want to open up a new file, and this is the file that is a JPEG file. So you can see here with open model plus string x. So we have just the model text plus the current value that our x integer is at. So remember, we're incrementing that in order to create new image files. And we want to save that with the .jpeg extension, and then we want to be able to write to that file. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to create that JPEG file, and we want to specify that we're going to write to it. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to say f.write. So what this is it's opening up this file, and it's saying let's represent this file that we opened up as f. So we're going to say f.write. So we want to write to that file, and then we want to write the request that we got, the content of the request that we got. So that is what's going to capture the image that loads when we navigate to that URL. After that, we want to close the file, and then we want to increment x by 1 so we can move on to our next image file. So if at any point during that loop there is some exception thrown, then we just want to continue our loop with the next picture, because for some of these images they won't always get a proper request, or there will be some other small error that occurs when we are navigating to that page that the image is located on. So if that is the case, then we want to go ahead and we just want to pass over that image and move to the next one. Okay, so that does it for our image scraping. So now we're going to go ahead here and talk about our model script. So this is the script that creates our Twitter bot. So we're using 3 libraries in this case. We're using the tweepi library, which is a Python library for accessing Twitter via the API. So an API is just an application programming interface, which is essentially a lot of code that is written to directly access certain data within Twitter, and to be able to make certain to be able to perform certain operations such as posting new status updates, posting pictures, following, and a bunch of other things you can do on Twitter. So we're going to use the tweepi library in order to make our code more efficient. Next up here we have the time module, which we are using to specify how much time we want to rest in between our tweets. And then we have the OS module in order to move over to our folder that contains the pictures that we scraped off the web. So next up here, this is an important part for creating this, guys. So we have the credentials, and what this is how you log into your Twitter account, your new Twitter bot account that you created. So if you guys are building this, go ahead and create a new account on Twitter, and then you want to go ahead, once you've created that account, you want to navigate over to this page here. So that's apps.twitter.com/app/new, and just navigate to that page, and it's going to bring this up here. So what this is you need to you need to tell Twitter that you're creating an application in order to get what are known as the API keys, so you can access your account directly through the API interface that Twitter provides. So in this case, you create a name for your bot that you're creating, you create a description for your bot, and then you can just throw in any old website you want. If you want to go ahead and create a website specifically for your bot, go ahead and do that and specify that there. But otherwise, go ahead and throw in whatever website, and do make sure that you type in HTTPS : not just www, whatever name of the website you are creating is, because otherwise it's going to throw you a little error there. Then you just go ahead and check this off and create your Twitter application. So once you do that, you're going to have access to a couple of these keys here. There is a tab that you want to navigate to once you're within that will generate these keys for you, so you can access the Twitter API from within your script. So that'll give you your consumer key, your consumer secret, your access token, and your access secret. So these are just long strings of numbers and letters that are going to be used to access your Twitter API. So go ahead and create variables to represent those keys and those secrets, and then go ahead and store those strings within those variables. So next up here, we're going to use a couple different functions from the TweetP library in order to log into our API. So the first one is the OAuth handler. So you see TP here, which we said up at the top here, we want to import TweetP as TP. So when we're referencing the TweetP library from within our code, we can reference it just by TP instead of having to type out TweetP. And so we have TP.OAuth handler, which is how we're going to log into or authenticate with the Twitter server in order to log into our account. So next up here, we want to take that auth, that value that we are representing with auth, and we want to go ahead and set the access token. Again, this is using a function within the TweetP library, and that specifies two parameters, which are the access token and the access secret. So you go ahead and you add those in there, and then you're ready to log in. So your next line here is to create the API variable, and then go ahead and log in via the TweetP API function. So again, we specify tp.api with auth as our single parameter, and remember, we set the consumer key, the consumer secret, and the access token and the access secret with these two lines above. So now we've logged into our Twitter API. So what we want to do is post these images. So in this case, we want to go ahead and change the current directory that we are in to the models folder that we saved all our images that we scraped in. So in this case here, we are using the os.chdr function, which is basically just saying change the current folder that we are operating in to the models folder. So in this case, your script first starts running. When it first runs, it's the current directory that it runs in is the directory that the scripts themselves are located in. So remember, we created that folder in that same folder that the scripts are in, but now we want to move into that folder that we created that has the pictures. So we're going to move into that folder with that line, and then next up here, we are going to loop over the files that are within that folder in order to post them each picture, because in this case they are going to be pictures at a set time interval. So we go ahead here and we say we're creating a variable called model image, which is going to represent each file as we iterate over the files that are within the folder that we created. And so we're going to say for each image that is in for model image in the directory list. So then we're using the list dir, the list dir function that is part of the OS module again, which will list all the files that are within our folder for us. So that allows us to iterate over them. And in this case, we want to use, again, the tweepy function, which is the update with media function. So as far as this goes, there are a couple different functions or there are multiple functions you can use for the different things you want to do on Twitter with Tweepy. But in this case, we want to use the update with media function in order to post a photo. This can also be used to post a video or post a GIF. So we can go ahead and say update with media. Another function you can use is update status or update underscore status, and then you pass a string as your parameter, which is going to be just whatever text you want to post. Say you just wanted to send out a text-based tweet, you would use update status. So after we go ahead and we send out our tweet, then we want to go ahead and sleep. So that's going to tell our script to basically pause for that amount of time and then continue running. So in this case, we have our loop that is going to continue to run, continue to move through the folder that contains our images and tweet them out. But in between each tweet, this is where you specify how much time you want there should be between each tweet. So that's where you specify this value here in seconds. So in this case, it would be 3 seconds. So that about does it for how to create the bot. And a couple things. So moving forward for this with you guys, if you want to create this or if you have created this, then the folder that we created to store our images only has about 14 or 15 images. I think it's 14 from whatever we scraped. So we've got those images, but say you wanted to continually post new content. So what you would want to do here is modify the script that scrapes the pictures to continually scrape new pictures, or to at a certain time of the day go ahead and request that URL again and scrape the new pictures from the web page and add them to that folder, so we can continue to iterate over new content and we don't have to continue to say do that by hand. We can automate the entire process. So that would be how you could move forward with this project and create something that continues to operate hands off. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. This is a cool project to make and a great project to kind of stretch your Python skills. It uses a bunch of different libraries, and you are using a few different functions to move around your operating system, which are interesting to get a look at. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy.